Imagine a mysterious killer sweeping across continents, wiping out entire towns overnight. What if you woke up and half your city was gone? No warning, no cure, just fear in the air. The Black Death wasn't just a disease, it was a nightmare that changed the world forever. But how did it really start, and what secrets still remain hidden? Dive in now and uncover the shocking truths about the deadliest pandemic in history. Before you miss out on the dark details everyone should know! Origin: the story of the Black Death starts far from Europe, in the dry grasslands of Central Asia. Here, in the early 1300s, a deadly bacteria called Yersinia pestis began to spread among wild rodents, especially rats. Fleas feeding on these rats became infected, carrying the bacteria from animal to animal. But it was not just an animal problem. Trade routes connected Asia to Europe, and along with spices and silk, these trade caravans unknowingly transported the deadly bacteria. As merchant ships crossed the Black Sea, rats carrying infected fleas jumped onto the boats, traveling from port to port. In 1346, the first signs of the plague appeared in the Black Sea region. Within a year, it reached the busy ports of Italy. People had never seen such a fast, spreading disease before. Ships arrived carrying not just goods, but also death. Infected sailors and rats spread the plague to new lands as soon as they docked. Nobody understood the real cause. Some thought it was bad air or a punishment from above, but in reality, it all began with a tiny bacteria and a chain of events that connected the far corners of the world, changing history forever. Spread once the Black Death entered Europe, it moved at an unstoppable speed. The disease traveled through crowded cities, small villages, and busy markets. People lived close together, and hygiene was poor, making it easy for the plague to infect many at once. Rats, carrying infected fleas, hid in homes, shops, and on ships, helping the bacteria spread quickly from place to place. Within just a few months, the plague reached from Italy to France, Spain, and across to England. By land, traders and travelers unknowingly carried the infection on their clothes and belongings. Towns that had never heard of the Black Death soon found their streets empty as sickness swept through. Some cities tried to close their gates or stop strangers from entering, but it was too late. The plague didn't care about borders. From busy ports to quiet farming towns, the disease spread with terrifying speed. No one could escape it. Even the countryside, far from the main roads, felt the deadly touch of the Black Death. In just a few years, almost all of Europe was affected. The symptoms of the Black Death were sudden and terrifying. Most people did not know what was happening to their bodies. It usually started with a high fever and chills. Soon after, painful swellings called buboes appeared on the neck, armpits, or groin. These buboes were swollen lymph nodes filled with pus and could grow as large as an egg or even an apple. Along with the swellings, many victims suffered from headaches, body aches, and exhaustion. Some developed dark spots on their skin, caused by internal bleeding. The pain was intense, and most people got much worse within a few days. Victims often vomited, had trouble breathing, and felt extreme weakness. The disease was so aggressive that healthy people could fall sick and die in just 2 or 3 days. Family members and doctors were afraid to go near those who were infected, as the disease seemed to pass quickly from one person to another. The symptoms were so frightening and mysterious that many believed something supernatural was happening. But the real reason was a deadly bacteria, silently working inside the body. Death came quickly and cruelly during the Black Death. For many, there was little hope of survival once symptoms began. Within a few days, even the healthiest people could be dead. Whole families sometimes died in less than a week. Streets and homes filled with bodies. As the number of victims grew each day, gravediggers could not keep up with the sheer number of deaths. In some cities, people were forced to dig their own graves, or mass graves were made where dozens or even hundreds of bodies were buried together. The constant tolling of church bells became a daily reminder of how many lives were lost. Fear and sadness hung in the air. Many towns lost half of their population. Survivors saw their friends, neighbors, and loved ones die with no warning and no cure. Death was everywhere, at home, in the streets, and even in the fields. The Black Death changed life in Europe forever, leaving behind empty villages and broken hearts. For those who lived through it, nothing would ever be the same again. Fear was everywhere during the Black Death. People were terrified, not just of the disease, but of what they did not understand. The plague seemed unstoppable, moving silently from house to house, town to town. Neighbors stopped trusting each other. Friends turned away, afraid to help even their own family members. Every cough or fever brought panic. Many believed the end of the world had come. Some thought the disease was a punishment for sins, while others blamed outsiders, travelers, or even animals. Rumors and wild stories spread quickly, making people even more afraid. Doctors wore strange masks and robes, trying to protect themselves, but most treatments did not work. Churches filled with people praying for mercy, while others lost all hope and gave in to fear and sadness. The fear of catching the plague changed daily life. People avoided gatherings, markets, and even close friends. In the silence of empty streets, fear was the loudest sound, reminding everyone that death could come at any moment. Cured during the Black Death, people desperately searched for a cure, but no one really understood the disease or how it spread. Doctors tried many strange and sometimes dangerous treatments. Some used herbal mixtures or burned incense, hoping to clean the bad air. Others believed that bleeding a patient or applying hot irons to the buboes would draw out the sickness. Wealthier families hired special doctors called plague doctors, who wore long robes and bird-like masks filled with strong-smelling herbs. These masks were meant to protect them from poisonous air, but they did not stop the spread of the bacteria. People also turned to religion, praying for forgiveness and holding special processions in the streets. Some believed that whipping themselves or punishing their bodies would please God and stop the plague. But none of these cures worked. In truth, there was no real cure for the Black Death. Most people who got sick died within days, no matter what they tried. It wasn't until centuries later, with modern medicine and antibiotics, that the true cause was found and a real cure was discovered. The impact of the Black Death was massive and changed Europe forever. Almost half of the population died in just a few years. Many towns lost so many people that homes and farms were left empty. Fields went unplowed, businesses closed, and entire villages disappeared. The labor shortage meant that workers who survived could demand better wages and working conditions, which changed the way society worked. Families were broken, and children were left without parents. The huge number of deaths made people question old beliefs and look for new answers in science and medicine. Churches lost power as many people felt their prayers had gone unheard. The fear and trauma from the Black Death stayed for generations. Art, literature, and even laws changed, reflecting the dark times people had lived through. The world after the Black Death was not the same as before. It marked the end of the old era and the start of big changes across Europe, shaping history for centuries to come. Thanks for joining us as we uncovered the terrifying story of the Black Death. If this made you question how quickly our world can change, you're not alone. What lesson do you think we can learn from this tragic chapter in history? Share your thoughts below! Don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more gripping stories from history's shadows. And get ready, our next video, Secrets of the Samurai, Japan's Warrior Legacy, is coming soon! You won't want to miss it!